When we talk about the mental health of our children, something that has to be considered is bullying. When it comes to youth right now, 40% of students report experiencing bullying at school in the past year, and it seems increasingly difficult to put a stop to it. So what can parents do to help their kids? Julie's standing by now to ask a doctor.
Ask a Doctor is sponsored by Red Mountain Weight Loss.
It is a big problem, and it's only getting worse as time goes on. Not only do kids have to worry about issues on campus, but the internet and social media continues to make it easier to torment kids even when they're at home. So we spoke to Dr. Christina Johns, a pediatric emergency physician who says bullying is a bigger issue than ever before.
Bullying is more common than you think. 1 in 10 children have experienced bullying during their school years. We know that for boys, and as a general rule, tend to be more physical bullies, and girls tend to do more verbal bullying. And so I think some of those trends, while not universal, are important to have awareness of. With escalating violence all around, that has been the trend. And remember that while the physical violence is certainly most dramatic and in some instances very tragic, remember that there's the whole psychological and mental, emotional, behavioral aspect as well. With cyberbullying. And we certainly in the pandemic, with more kids at home and online and with access at all hours to social sites and whatnot, we absolutely are seeing many different effects and having it escalate, which is really tragic.
Kids don't always want to talk about bullying. They're afraid of retaliation, and they don't want it to get worse. So if your child has not come to you with a concern, here are some signs they could be experiencing bullying.
I would say that if a child is starting to express real phobias about going to school, if they're seeming to be more socially withdrawn and isolated, if there's a real change, a decline in their grades or school performance otherwise, then that's a real red flag for parents to investigate and dig a little bit deeper in terms of what may be happening during the school day or beyond, because those are key signs that something's up. I think that the concerns that we have are about self-esteem with kids. We worry about social isolation and anxiety and phobias. All of those can really have lasting effects on children if they feel like they deserved it somehow, or somehow it was their fault. Or if they aren't provided with resources to cope, strategies for resilience and support in this regard. So I think that we need to all be very careful that we don't just take any concerns expressed to us by a child lightly.
Now, when it comes to solutions for bullying, Dr. Johns suggests the biggest thing you can do, regardless if your child is the bully or the one being bullied, is to love and support them.
I think that the first thing that parents can do is to encourage open lines of communication, open and frequent lines of communication, understanding that physical retaliation isn't a good option, but strategizing on ways to manage it in the moment, whether it's walking away, joining another group of kids, whether it is immediately going to tell a teacher or a trusted adult, and then reassuring your child that you will support them in having those difficult conversations at school. I think first and foremost, that is incredibly important. Bring it up with your child's pediatrician so they can support you as a parent. If you need extra resources or need to escalate and get your child some help with a mental health professional, that is certainly the case that can be helpful, not just with children who are victims of bullying, but for children who are engaging in bullying behaviors. They oftentimes need a bunch of internal work and support as well. And we need to not count them out in terms of what their needs are as well, to help them work through the struggles that they're having.
Again, the doctor says bullying often happens because kids feel out of control about something in their own lives, or are struggling themselves, or even modeling the behavior of someone at home. If you think your child may be suffering from bullying or maybe bullying others, Dr. John stresses it is a good idea to talk to your pediatrician about some resources for mental health to make sure they are getting the support they need. Crystal will send it back to you.